Now the first question is, why should we do a dojo? And the intention behind that is to envision the first phase in a transformation initiative, which we call the zoom in pivot, in the extreme pivot method that we followed, and you have already watched the video before you got here. And we use this tool which we call the performance under supply X-ray, where we plot each step from the customer journey onto these swim lanes, and then whichever step appears in all the 3 swim lanes in the worst category is the trim tab. Now we have created an Excel version of this, which I will cover shortly later in this video, through which we can do this whole thing very easily. Just to recap, we did the specialty cuisine, which is the Ethiopian cuisine example I often use, where deciding on the order proved to be the trim tab step. What we do is to go to the hipoha.com website. Let's scroll down to the Hipoha tools section, and then you will see the performance under supply X-ray version 5.0. Let's download that. Choose any directory and download it to your PC. Now when you open it, there is a very important thing to notice. The default is disable macros, and we have to choose enable macros because we have embedded macros in this. So in the restaurant example we chose, the first step is to identify the functional area, which in this case is a Ethiopian cuisine restaurant. The name of the customer journey is a dine-in customer journey, and the stakeholder is a dine-in customer. And the intention we choose is fast and easy. So I want to get into the restaurant quickly and get out. So now we jot down the various steps that are there in the journey, decide on the cuisine, so on, all the steps. And then for each step we score the 3 swim lanes. So deciding on the cuisine, is there any negative emotion around that? No. Is there a turnaround time issue? Yeah, it might take a bit of time if multiple of us have to decide what the thing is. So I have chosen the first level, which is 1. And does it oppose the intention? No. So the trim, it is not a trim tab step, which is automatically calculated. So you don't have to worry about that. So like that, step by step we do. And as we discussed in the extreme pivot video, deciding on the order becomes problematic because I don't know what I need to order when I am in a Ethiopian cuisine. So which is why makes this the trim tab step. All the 3 swim lanes are red, right? So that automatically gets computed into the trim tab step. Now once I have done the scoring of all the things, I can actually click. This is the new version of the Pux Excel where you can actually create the map itself. And because of the color codes, it becomes very easy to see the trim tab step. Even though other steps have issues, the gray and orange ones are also having issues, the dark red is the trim tab. So deciding on the order is what I am going to go after for this transformation. Now how do we decide this on this rating scale, right? 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And our recommendation is that if the negative experience on any of these 3 swim lanes is less than 5% of the occurrences. So let's say there are 100 occurrences and less than 5% there are negative experiences, then I would give it a green. If it is between 5 and 50%, I would give it a gray. And if it is between 50 to 80%, I will grade it as yellow. And if I get 80 to 100%, I will give it a red. For example, in this journey of deciding on the order being the trim tab, vast majority of the time, people encountering Ethiopian cuisine for the first time don't know what to order, which is what comes up as the trim tab. So now that we have done that, we set an extreme objective. In this case, for us, the entire group of us who are going to the Ethiopian restaurants, to decide our order in 5 minutes. Right? So this is an extreme objective, and for us to do that, we decide on a zoom in pivot and an MVP. And the technology that we choose to make this interesting and digitally transformative is this particular example of a holographic display as you are seeing in this video. So pretty easily you can see the dimensions of the food, the actual food itself in 3D or holographic form. Now this is pretty cool, right? Now you might think that this is expensive to do for a restaurant owner. So is there a cheaper way of doing this or less expensive way of doing this? And that could be done using a technology that is called augmented reality, which is available on your smartphone.
Is a reality, augmented reality. It's better than a photo. The entire range of food that you see in Menu AR is a three-dimensional image of the real dishes. You can see the texture of the products, their ingredients and size.
It is the same thing, but now there is no device required and every consumer can use the smartphone they are already carrying and look at the menu in 3D. So this is how we do the extreme pivot and digitally transform step number 7. Now I want to share with you some nuances in what we have observed in our customer journey maps. We had picked the step number 7, deciding on the order as the trim tab step. It's also possible for us to choose a different customer intention. For example, it could be fast and secure, where I am very interested in food safety. I want to observe how the food is being actually cooked, and it is actually cooked right where I am sitting, which is the hibachi restaurant if you have not been to one. Or a Mongolian grill where you can actually assemble the various ingredients and it is cooked right in front of you. So other possibilities emerge based on which customer intention you're choosing, thereby the trim tab step could be different. The second thing I have seen is sometimes we tend to pick internal processes. For example, in this customer journey of the restaurant, we could use the kitchen, right, where the journey could be entirely different. But in my opinion, when you do a transformative innovation, let's pick a customer journey that is the real customer, because that's the one that is common to all customers in an industry. For example, why we pick the restaurant journey, dine-in customers restaurant journey, is because that is the same journey you will be noticing in any dine-in restaurant across the world. So in any industry, the customer's journey is quite similar to all the companies. The back-end processes may differ, which is why it's very important to first try out on a real customer's journey. And if that's not doable, then we pick the internal process. Now, many times I have seen people think of the customer journey as a process map. That's a problem if we did that. For example, in this restaurant journey, we have said order food, wait for food. We have not put in the processes that happen inside the kitchen, because the customer really doesn't worry about what is happening in the kitchen until such time as it takes too long. Then the customer starts questioning about what is happening. So it is very important to not treat it as a process map. Otherwise, the trim tab step of the customer experience cannot be determined easily. So this is another problem. The other thing I have noticed is to try and split the customer journey based on decision making steps. I'll give you an example. I call my phone company and I have multiple connections with the same phone company. A mobile phone connection, a broadband connection. So when I call them, it says, if you are calling about mobile phone connection, press 1. If you are calling about the broadband, press 2. Now, sometimes we are tempted to split those two as two different journeys, and if we did that, we will lose the opportunity, because the first step where we are using the IVR could itself be a trim tab step. For example, why do I as a customer need to make that decision? The phone company knows me, which number I am calling from, and maybe you can use automatic voice recognition and other techniques to detect who I am and automatically route to the particular stakeholder that I need to speak to. So by bifurcating the decision steps in the journey at this level, we might miss opportunities for digital transformation. So it's very important that we don't do those flow charting type of things in a customer journey map. With that, I thank you all for listening to me. If you have further questions, you can post a comment, or I request you to watch the next video where Kumaran ran a live session on how to do a dojo, with picking up a live example with a group of mentees.